Welcome to PD Insider. My name is Craig Miller of the Practising Law Institute. This program is part of a series about professional development and the law. Do I want to be a GC? Is a question asked by many a law firm lawyer. Husch Blackwell, an AmLaw 100 firm with Midwestern roots, launched a program this year called HB In-House, designed to help interested attorneys decide. Joining me today are Sommer Bougie, Husch Blackwell's Director of Professional Development, and Joe Glynias, the firm's chair, and a veteran employment lawyer. The focus of today's conversation is how law firm PD teams can develop talent for in-house legal departments, benefiting the law firm, the corporate client, and the individual attorney. Welcome, Sommer. Welcome, Joe. It's great to see you today.
Thanks so much, Craig. We're excited to be with you here today.
Thanks, Craig. It's great to see you too. We really appreciate you having us, having a little conversation about HB In-House.
It could seem a bit counterintuitive for a law firm to be investing in talent that might be leaving. Joe, what was your inspiration for the program?
Craig, this goes back a long way. In fact, the process itself took about 8 years to actually get in place. But when I was a younger lawyer, I would have associates who I trusted, who I worked with, who I valued, who would come to me and say that they were looking to take a job somewhere else. And sometimes that was exciting, sometimes it was frustrating, but sometimes it was concerning because I thought, shoot, this is a position that maybe isn't exactly what they're looking for. When they thought about what an in-house life would be, what I know about this position, what I know about this company may not line up exactly with what they want. And as that experience sort of repeated itself over time and then got into a position where clients would ask me if I had any good candidates for open positions, it became clear that there was an opportunity here, an opportunity for us to better serve our people, an opportunity for us to better serve our clients and pair up interested candidates with employers that were looking for qualified professionals. And after that, sort of noodled around for a few years and had enough conversations with enough people, we decided this was an opportunity to help really fulfill the promise to our people about helping them get all the development they need in their career.
It was great. So you had resources available, but people just weren't in a position to take advantage of them. So you have a cool idea. We're inspired to do something about it. Sommer, can you describe how you got the program off the ground?
Absolutely. So when I had the first meeting with Joe about this program and he shared with me his vision, it became pretty clear to us right from the beginning that it was going to be critical for us to have our clients be a part of this process. They're the ones that know the ins and outs, obviously, of what it is to be in-house. And so we really started with creating, at the first kind of start of it, an advisory group. And the advisory group was made up of 4 of our clients. And Joe and I spent a significant amount of time with those 4 clients in a room, in person, really kind of gathering a ton of their input and insights on what it is to be in-house counsel. And then from there, we really wanted to expand our reach to other clients beyond the advisory group. And so we reached out to several other clients through our HB attorneys who had such great relationships with them, asking if they would be part of the program. And it was incredible, the response that we got. All of them jumping right in, wanting to be part of such an incredible initiative. They were so excited about it. And so we held several focus groups with probably more than 25 of our clients, as well as some of our attorneys, Husch Blackwell attorneys who were former in-house counsel as well, and spend time with them, again, gathering their insights, their input on what it is to be in-house counsel. And then from there, we took an incredible amount of time really just kind of going through all of the incredible information we received from them and really started to develop the curriculum from there. And when we had an outline of what that curriculum design would look like, we again had additional focus groups groups and conversations with clients. So they've really been an integral part throughout the development of the program right from the onset.
So that's brilliant, getting all this input from all of the stakeholders and all of the parties involved so that you could really tailor the program appropriately. Could you talk a little bit more, Sommer, about the structure of the program, the types of modules and instructional methods that you used?
Absolutely, I'd be happy to. So when we were going through all the information, there were a couple things that I think became pretty clear, and as we were having more conversations with clients, we really structured the program with three different components in mind. One is an educational component, a training component, and a coaching component. And the educational component is the first part of the program. It's one of the first things that the participants experienced. And the purpose of that was to really kind of provide a foundation for our participants as to what it really looks like and is to be an in-house counsel. Through our conversations with our clients, it became quite clear that there's maybe a little bit of a disconnect between what one may think it is to be in-house and the reality of what that looks like. And so we thought it important to really kind of set that foundation. Then the second component is the training component, and that is made up of 6 areas of focus. When we were going through the information, there were 6 themes that came through pretty strong. Those are understanding the business, financial acumen, risk management, legal operations, relationship building, and leading by influence. And then we had a coaching component, and the coaching component is made up of 3 different components within it. So there's an executive individual coaching component in which each participant was set up with an executive coach. We also had coaching cohorts that really provided participants an opportunity to gather in small groups for that peer-to-peer learning. And then each participant was also set up with an in-house advisor that was one of our clients, where they could meet with them one-on-one throughout the program and gather further insights.
Oh, so that's great. So it sounds like a really robust structure. About how long does it take you to complete the program?
So the program itself took a total of 4 months, and we anticipated that it was going to be about a 25 to 30 hour total commitment, depending on really kind of the participants leveraging meeting with their in-house advisor.
And Joe, so who is eligible to participate, and how do you select?
Good question. So everyone is eligible except for what we call our level 1 associates. So here at Husch Blackwell, we don't have a lockstep associate system. It goes by merit. And level 1 is, generally speaking, associates who are in their first to 3, sometimes 4 years of practice. Once you're out of level 1 and you become a level 2, level 3, or partner of counsel or any other designation of the firm, everyone is eligible to participate. The way we select this year was our first year, and we wanted to be very careful about not having a class that was too large, as we expected to have some bugs to work out along the way. After all, we were using our clients' time as faculty, and we didn't want to burden their otherwise already very busy schedules with problems and hiccups that affected a lot of people. So we limited the class to about 25 folks. And we opened it up to everyone who was eligible, asked them to send us an explanation for why they wanted to be part of the program, no more than a sentence or 2, just a general idea of what it is they were looking to get. And from there, we then considered where they were in their careers, talked to their department leaders, and came up with the group that we thought would be the most well-suited for this first go-round. Going forward, we're going to open up the program even more. We're debating right now exactly how big is too big for a class. Certainly we don't have the client faculty staff to have a class of 500 going at one time. So we'll figure out the right sweet spot, and then we'll go through a similar process and opening it up to people who are interested. But I can tell you, Craig, that the interest in the wake of this first program has gotten extremely high. And in fact, when we selected the first group, we were selecting from just under 100 people for the 25 spots. So there's real interest in this, and I suspect that there will be more.
Oh, that's great. It's really sort of brilliant having having your clients participate as faculty. I'm sure that helps to strengthen the bonds between the firm and the clients. If you could talk a little bit more about the faculty. Is it inside counsel from your clients, or is it also people from functional areas within the businesses that you represent?
Another great question. So by and large, it's inside counsel from our clients. Some of the faculty are not even among our clients. There's people who learned of the program through the media attention that's gotten and asked if they could be a part. But most of them are our clients and most of them are inside counsel. There has been a lot of discussion of opening it up to sort of the business leaders for our clients, CFOs, chief operating officers, to talk about that perspective. And that is something we're going to incorporate as the program evolves.
So that's cool. So people have actually reached out to you from outside the orbit of it and want to participate. Well, that's a real good sign of success.
It's been great and very inspiring, Craig. I mean, these are people who don't have available time and have nothing really to gain from it other than just the gratification of helping people who are in a position where they once were. And it's been the most, to lack of a better phrase, inspiring part of this whole process.
And we still have individuals reaching out. We just had last week somebody reach out who was connecting with one of our attorneys and had learned about HB in-house and is not a client of the firm, but definitely wants to get involved. So we're still getting reach outs of individuals who want to be part of the program.
Oh, that's cool. So you're building relationships with your lawyers, with your clients, maybe even with prospective clients and other law firms and others in the community. So that's terrific. Well, let me ask you this. I mean, Husch Blackwell had previously been recognized as a top 5 law firm in placing its attorneys in-house. So you clearly know a thing or two about making this transition. But Joe, let me ask, what makes a law firm attorney competitive and able to compete with someone already in an in-house role when vying to fill a particular position?
I think it can be a lot of things. One thing that we learned from our faculty who helped to devise the curriculum is that they value judgment over many other things, including actual skill. Obviously, there is a lot of attention, a lot of value to being in the in-house world that someone who's an in-house candidate would bring. But as you know, there are all kinds of different law departments with different cultures and different behaviors, and finding the right fit for that person is a big deal. So how does one become competitive? I think getting an insight into how that job will differ, an inside-house job or in-house job will differ from an outside counsel job, and that's something this program can provide. I think most outside counsel who have never lived that life have a difficult time envisioning all aspects of what it takes to be in-house. So getting a little bit of that glimpse really matters. Aside from that, obviously being a great practitioner is always very important, but our clients kept coming back to the notion of judgment. So I think if, like a lot of things, when people can get comfortable with the mechanics of their work environment, they can then relax and let the talent, in this case, the judgment, really sort of flow and react in situations. And I think to the extent that we have a lot of people here who we feel exhibit exceptional judgment on a regular basis and want to understand and be a part of the business operations, getting the insight through this program will allow them to get that level of comfort where they can come in and be competitive. And the fact of the matter is, fundamentally, most inside counsel at one point in time were outside counsel. So there is an accepted transition, I think, in the in-house world that people coming from this world to that can do the job and do the job very well.
That makes perfect sense. Beyond judgment, are there other things that you might pinpoint as key differences between practicing inside a law firm as opposed to being outside counsel? I can recall a conversation I had with a woman who was general counsel of a well-known bank. And she told me when she first went to work at the bank, she actually didn't know how banks functioned. I mean, she understood, mortgages and various processes, but she didn't really understand like the operational pieces of a bank.
Yeah, so I can answer this because I was a participant in HB in-house this summer, and so I have the benefit of the education they gave. Understanding the business was a huge critical piece of it, to the point you made about your friend at the bank. That's really critical. And so having that understanding first puts them in a great position to do very well. And then I think the next thing that makes a big difference between outside counsel and in-house is there's a temptation and sometimes even a need as outside counsel that when you are answering a question, you provide a full legal analysis, break down the facts, lay out the case law, come up with an analysis and deliver a conclusion. It was very clear to us from our conversations and our education through the curriculum that can be great in certain instances, but most of the time, the business just needs an answer. And you need to be able to support that answer if they have questions about it. But being able to distill down what would be very high level and sophisticated legal work into a very practical and useful and immediate business solution is something that I think was a big transition, or something that all outside counsel need to understand in making that transition.
And if I can just add on to that, I think the other thing that was, I think, an eye-opener for participants of the program is that in-house counsel are viewed as more than just lawyers of providing that legal analysis, that they are truly looked at as business partners. And so individuals, CEOs, other executive leadership are coming to in-house counsel for their input on things beyond legal focused. And I think that was quite an eye-opener for participants, and a big difference between private practice and in-house.
And very appealing. I think a lot of them found that very appealing.
Yeah, so that's critical. I think you really just put your finger on it. It's about understanding the business goals of the organization that you're a part of, and being able to help pursue them. Of course, obviously being mindful of all of the risk management and other important functions that you're there to perform in your role as an attorney. All right, very good. So, Sommer, now understanding these kinds of needs for people to, what they need to learn to be, to become in-house counsel, or to have a proper set of expectations. What did you do to sort of deliver that message or the content to support it for the learners in the program?
Yeah, so it really kind of goes back to the components of the program, and that educational component that I mentioned really started to set that foundation. And so in that program, we covered a variety of different things. And I say we, but the clients covered a variety of different things. And that was really to kind of provide an overview of what does it look like to be in-house counsel. So covering everything from what are the expectations, what are the challenges, what are the focuses that they're focused on, what is the structure of the legal teams, what does the career progression look like, and even how does it differ from what sector you may be. Are you going into a public company versus private versus government, nonprofit? All of that makes a huge difference. And then going into the actual kind of deep dive into the content with the training modules, and taking time into each one of these of understanding the business financial acumen. And what we did in each one of those modules is the participants had to complete anywhere from 2 to 4 e-learning courses. And that was where the content was of that particular area of focus. And then at the end of that module, once they completed the e-learning courses, and then we came to a module discussion in which all of the participants came together. And we should mention this program was completely done virtually. So all the participants came together virtually, and we had 3 clients who really took then a deeper dive into that particular topic, really sharing more kind of applicable, really kind of situations and what that looks like as an in-house counsel.
All right, so so you managed to deliver the content virtually. But with that, you had about 25 people in it. Did it become sort of a cohort? Often people who go through a program like that, kind of, create bonds, whether in the same room or the same city. Did you sense any of that developing during the course of HB in-house?
Absolutely. And one of the things that we wanted to do is we knew kind of from the onset when we were creating this program is we wanted to leverage a multitude of different learning platforms as well, because we know everybody has different learning styles. And so that's where you see the variety of, the e-learning courses and the large group discussions and the small cohorts. And I think through the module discussions and those small cohorts that I had mentioned, where they were put into small groups of about 4 to 5 participants, where they really got to spend some time really getting that opportunity of that peer-to-peer learning and chatting with each other in maybe a space that even felt more comfortable to be open and candid with each other about what they were learning and what they were thinking about as well.
All right, good. So, Joe, and this can be a little bit of a tough one. Yeah, I know you've got the first initiative under your belt, but how do you measure success for something like this?
So, there's some more obvious sort of tangible ways of measuring it in terms of getting placements. Beyond the curriculum and the cohorts and the mentoring, we also have secondments and actual job placement. That's all part of our program. So certainly to the extent that we can demonstrate that people are getting placed in jobs that work well for them and allow them to pursue the careers that they want, that'll be an easy way for us to measure it. We, in fact, have just this morning got an email from one of our participants of the program that ended just a few weeks ago saying that he has now accepted a position to go in-house. He applied to 4 different employers and listed on there his participation in HB in-house in each one of them, and they all reacted with interest and with a lot of questions about it. So I think that's probably a good indication of success. Number one, that there was a placement. Number two, that his participation in this program didn't make anybody shy away. But beyond that, we have a much bigger sort of general aspiration for this, which is that we believe that we're a law firm that's truly committed to helping people develop and find the career that's best for them. And for some people, it will be what I just described. It will be finding a new in-house job. But for many people, it's also going to be just understanding their clients better, being able to serve them better. And I think we do a lot to solicit client feedback. We're very focused on our Net Promoter Score as an organization. And we will be asking our clients to see if there is a difference in the service they receive from the people who have gone through this class. So there's going to be a variety of ways that we sort of measure success. Clearly, job placement and secondment placement will be one. But so far, all of the qualitative feedback has been really exceptional.
That's terrific. And there are obvious measures, like you said. Equally, people may find out that they don't want to go in-house or they don't want to work in a corporate environment. So that I would say that could also qualify as a measure of success, a better understanding of what your career path ought to look like.
That's absolutely right. I guess we can count everyone who doesn't leave and goes through the program as a success. So count me as one.
Well, that's true. You don't want them all to go.
That's right.
And so now that you've had the first one, and I'm sure you've gotten feedback and data to examine. Do you have any thoughts on how you'd evolve HB in-house for the future?
We do. One thing in particular, not to give too much away, but we just had this conversation last week, so it hasn't been published internally yet. We used a case study that was very, very good. We struggled to fit it into the modules in the way that we wanted to. We think there's still great opportunity to use it, but we're going to modify the way we're using it and maybe change the type of case study that we have to adapt it to the particular module that's being impacted. So that's a big one.
Yeah, and we anticipate we are, Craig, in through kind of that example that Joe just shared, through kind of preliminary feedback that we've received from participants. We've been able to kind of make those assessments already, but we are in the process of collecting feedback. The participants are going through a more intensive feedback process because that was part of their commitment when they participate in the program, was to take that time and provide us feedback, because we do anticipate, while this program has been a great success, I think beyond what we were even anticipating, because this was uncharted territory for us. We had never done a program like this, and so it has been a great success. But with that, we have learned a lot. We know we're going to continue to learn a lot once we get that feedback from the participants in, and further find various ways to continue to enhance the program. And kind of going back to Joe's example about the attorney who reached out to us sharing that he just accepted an in-house position, part of what we asked of him is, hey, now that you've completed HB in-house, once you get into your new in-house position, get settled in, have a couple months under your belt, will you share with us, how did HB in-house really help support that transition and hopefully making it a more successful, seamless transition, as well as providing us some feedback on, what could we further build into the next iteration of this program. So we're excited to continue to get that feedback and think about ways to enhance the program further.
One more evolution too is we did not anticipate fully the incredible and surprising demand that came from our clients for our candidates. So we had envisioned the process where we'd go through the curriculum, have secondments, have people ready to take jobs. Well, that's not the way hiring works, and job opportunities came up, and people, our clients and others learned of the program. And so along the way, while the people were still in the curriculum, we were getting all these requests for secondments and for positions. So we now have been gathering interest from our participants so that we know who's actually interested in exploring these different opportunities. And now, of course, we have our alumni who would be available. So putting more refinement around that matching is something that will be part of the program going forward.
Right, and having that alumni network can actually help strengthen the program when they come back and share their experiences once they've made the transition. Joe, talk a little bit about the role or the importance of executive leadership in driving the success of a new initiative like this.
It's an important question, because going back to the first question you asked about where did this come from and that there's been support for it. I mean, one of the issues in the very beginning years ago when people wouldn't come to me and say, hey, Joe, I'm looking to leave the firm, is fear, concern that someone who's maybe just exploring the opportunity or the possibility of an in-house job may out him or herself in a way that they won't be getting assigned good cases or good transactions, and sort of paint themselves as a short timer. So there's a lot of apprehension around that and uncertainty. So it's fundamental and absolutely mission critical that in spreading this and popularizing the policy, the program internally, we had to demonstrate that leadership was behind this, and it is. And that's part of what took as many years as it did, is just getting people tenderized to the notion that it's okay that we help prepare our people for what's likely an eventuality for some of them that they're going to make this move. We have right now 42% of our alumni are working in-house somewhere. So this was an opportunity to embrace it. And so once we got that buy-in from leadership, then it became an issue of communicating it to the rest of the firm that we're behind it. So myself and some others participated. We've had testimonials from leaders in the firm encouraging people to explore it if it's an option that they would like to explore. We've made sure to mix in people who have absolutely no interest whatsoever in going in-house, but demonstrating to our folks that it's okay to be a part of this program. It doesn't mean you have to leave. So we have a lot of layers that demonstrate leadership's commitment to people exploring this as another way to develop their skills.
That's great, because I mean, it's important to acknowledge, for law firm leaders to acknowledge the reality that, not everyone is going to be on a partnership track, and that most people actually will end up leaving, moving on to different directions. And yet the relationships are still very important and can remain nourishing for both parties. And you're right; it's a hard thing to reveal to your employer that you might be thinking of going. I can't in any work environment. But that's great that you make it sort of a safe conversation for people to have.
And for what it's worth, there's a couple of people who, despite all of that encouraging and support, still had some apprehension about it. So we have funneled the materials to them. They've been able to get the learning without being part of the program in a visible way. And I suspect that over time, if those people wind up finding jobs, we may start publicizing the fact that that's an option as well. Not preferable, because then you lose out on some of the one-to-one mentoring and cohort experience. It's really very valuable. But we have to be able to meet people where they are.
Great. Any other takeaways? Anything else that we should know about HB in-house?
One of the things that jumped out to Joe and I was definitely just the significant response that we got from clients and in-house counsel who are not clients of wanting to participate in this program. And I think it speaks, Joe mentioned this earlier, really speaks to them almost wanting to pay it forward. They're invested in really helping others gain a better understanding of what this looks like and really supporting, their career goals for others who want to become, in-house attorneys. And I think while we anticipated there would be some interest, we had no idea the level of interest that there would be. And it's just been incredible to see and be a part of. I think also just some of the takeaways that the participants have shared with us thus far on their experience with HB in-house from the perspective of both the firm and supporting attorneys who want to explore other career options that may not mean it's going to be HB in-house or Husch Blackwell, but may take them outside of Husch Blackwell. And we support that to then all the things that they learned that they can take away, whether they do go in-house or even if they stay in private practice, how they can further support helping serve their clients.
I would echo everything Sommer just said. It was interesting as we were going through the development of the curriculum, we had our clients ask, hey, is it okay that if I have a new hire who didn't come from Husch Blackwell, but I'd like to have them go through the program, could we do that too? We'll be doing that. And it got me thinking. I grew up the son of a lawyer and have a long relationship with the practice of law and have a lot of admiration for what it is to be a lawyer. It's one of my favorite things about my adult life is what we get to do. It's a special and privileged position. But there was certainly a time going back many, many, many years where, generally speaking, the concept and the notion of being an attorney meant zealous advocacy and an adversarial process. And it absolutely still means that in certain contexts. But opportunities for lawyers and the different roles that they can play in our society have grown so much and have developed in so many ways that the value that comes along with having a law degree and understanding the practice of law is so significant and so recognized at this point that there's an opportunity for us to really continue to develop and refine how that can be applied in ways that are outside of zealous advocacy, outside of an adversarial process. And it's unearthed for me through this process the extraordinary and, again, really inspiring collegiality that can exist between all of us who occupy this privileged and special place in our society. And if we continue to do that in that way, particularly in this context, we will do much to continue to serve society generally and enhance the role of what it means to be an attorney in the public life.
That's a brilliant point about the role of the lawyer in society and how it's evolved and the contributions that we are in a position in the legal profession to make. So I think I'll leave it. I think I'll end it there because that was pretty great. I'd like to thank my guests, Sommer Bougie, the PD director, and Joe Glynias, the chair of Husch Blackwell, for sharing their insights today. We look forward to you joining us for another edition of PLI's PD Insider. This is Craig Miller of the Practising Law Institute. Thank you, be well, and do great things.